The story kicks off with our protagonist scrolling through his phone only to come across a troubling social media post. Someone had left a scathing review of his clinic, falsely accusing it of being overrun with COVID-19 patients. The comment section is flooded with people vowing never to set foot in such a supposedly contaminated place. Watching his clinic's reputation crumble online, the despair begins to creep in. Just as he had opened his dream practice, the pandemic hit like a curse. It's been 3 years since he entered the medical field, and yet fate seems cruel. Why did disaster strike just when he was beginning his journey? The idea that patients might have gotten infected from his clinic, and the avalanche of backlash, pushes him deeper into frustration. Suddenly, something bizarre happens. The world around him shifts violently, and it feels as though the ground has flipped with the sky. Everything goes black. This is the strange beginning of his transformation from a struggling Korean doctor to a legendary healer in another world. When he awakens, he discovers that something within him has changed. He now possesses a mysterious system. This system offers him powers, skills, and the ability to summon mystical creatures, but only if he can regenerate his health points, which currently sit at 0. To increase them, he must begin by healing his own internal organs. The first thing he recalls is plunging into the Han River. As his vision clears, he spots a figure nearby and assumes it must be the person who saved him, despite the fact that he's drowning in debt. Still, he's grateful to be alive. But his surroundings are anything but familiar. He quickly realizes that he's not in a hospital. This place resembles a grand medieval drama set. Suddenly, an emotional man rushes over. When our protagonist asks who he is, the man nearly cries, shocked that his master doesn't remember his personal physician, Garden. Confused and overwhelmed, he asks Garden for a glass of water. Garden hands him an extravagant cup adorned with what look like actual diamonds. As he sips, he catches a glimpse of his reflection and freezes. It's not his face staring back. It's the face of Raquel Adria Magentano, the crown prince from the fantasy novel Demon's Sword Emperor, the very novel he was reading before everything went dark. Stunned, he wonders if he's just drunk. He tells Garden to slap him awake. Horrified by the request, Garden refuses, so the protagonist slaps himself. The sting confirms the truth. He has somehow been reincarnated into the body of the crown prince, a prince with luxury, power, and none of the crippling debt he had in his previous life. Overcome with excitement, he tries to get up, but his legs give out beneath him. Garden rushes to catch him, and our protagonist realizes with unease that this body is incredibly weak. Despite appearing youthful, it's frail, far worse than even a middle-aged man. He suddenly recalls that the crown prince in the novel was perpetually ill and died young. He nervously asks Garden about his age. 21, Your Highness, Garden replies. The words hit like a thunderclap. In the story, the prince dies at 22, meaning he has just 1 year left to live. Initially thrilled to escape his ruined life, he now finds himself trapped in a doomed fate. Even in the novel, the prince received the best care and blessings, but nothing could stop his death. Staring at the reflection again, the answer becomes painfully clear. He'll need to save himself. Without hesitation, he orders Garden to fetch every type of needle available. Garden, bewildered, complies. When he returns with the tools, our protagonist inspects them carefully. Picking up one, he begins warming it. Garden, now completely panicked, demands to know what he's planning to do. Calm but resolute, the young prince-turned-doctor replies that he's about to insert it into his own body. Garden is horrified, thinking his master is about to do something reckless. But the protagonist reassures him. This isn't self-harm, it's a necessary treatment. Hesitant but trusting, Garden agrees to stay by his side. He removes his shirt and lies down, fully aware that the first step is to pierce the needle into a vital respiratory point. His breathing steadies. He locates the tie-in spot, the lung meridian, and inserts the needle, wincing as it goes in. Then he begins working through other critical acupoints, cloud gate, then upper arm assembly. As he finishes the first series of acupuncture treatments, he slowly opens his eyes. It becomes clear that he's somehow acquired a precise skill. His acupuncture is unnervingly accurate. The moment he applies this technique to his own body, a strange sensation fills his chest and he feels his lungs starting to recover ever so slightly. Then, out of nowhere, a bizarre mental image flashes before him. His lungs, now personified, break into a cheerful dance and throw him 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. It's ridiculous, and yet the result is real. he gains 100 horsepower, equivalent to 100 power. Staring at the glowing panel floating in front of him, he's stunned. The information, the visuals, it's like something out of a video game. He leans in to examine the status window more closely, filled with equal parts awe and disbelief. Meanwhile, Gordon watches him nervously from the side, tears welling up in his eyes again. To him, it looks like the prince has completely lost his mind. With a mix of irritation and amusement, the reincarnated doctor tells Gordon to cut the dramatics. Pushing aside his weepy companion, he turns his focus back to his treatment. He selects a different acupoint, this time one beneath the shoulder blade known as the young gate point. He presses it precisely and immediately feels his chest lighten. Encouraged by the results, he continues on, targeting various acupoints along his arms. The pain intensifies, but he bears through it. Gordon, now thoroughly distraught by the scene unfolding before him, clasps his hands and begins praying aloud, for both him, the prince's body, and his sanity. Undeterred, the prince goes further. He strikes the Yunji acupoint, activating another set of internal pressure points. The reaction is instantaneous. His lungs now feel as though they're reclining in a luxury massage chair. As odd as it sounds, the sensation is pleasant, Burra, though his attention is quickly stolen by the absurdity of the visual his system conjures. While he hopes the system will reward him with more HP, the screen simply displays his lungs once again, now animated and performing an enthusiastic tap dance. He rolls his eyes. The scene is so absurd it's almost insulting. He waits for it to finish, but the performance drags on for an awkwardly long time. Then, without warning, another internal organ joins the stage. The large intestine, also personified, makes its grand entrance and starts partying alongside the lungs. Apparently, the energetic lung celebration has somehow activated the bowel system as well. The prince stares at the bizarre display in disbelief, mentally pleading with the system to just let him recover in peace. As the whimsical tap dancing continues in his mind, the large intestine begins to move in sync with the rhythm, joining the lung duo's performance. Strangely enough, this results in a further boost, 100 horsepower from the intestine and 200 horsepower each from the two lungs. His total HP skyrockets to 600. With this new energy reserve, a new prompt appears on the screen. Skill activation available. Would you like to open the skill store? Amused and intrigued, he immediately recalls the many fantasy stories he's read, where the protagonists gain powerful abilities like swordsmanship or elemental magic. Excited, he taps to open the store, but instead of warrior or mage abilities, the screen displays a list entirely filled with medical techniques, diagnosis methods, traditional healing practices, treatment support tools. He quickly realizes that every skill offered is rooted in his previous life as a doctor. One particular skill catches his eye: pulse diagnosis, the cornerstone of proper treatment and prescriptions. It costs 500 horsepower to unlock at the beginner level. Without hesitation, he selects it. Once activated, he gains the ability to perform a basic health scan through pulse reading. Curious about his own condition, he checks his pulse and receives a system-generated report. Overall physical state extremely critical. Estimated lifespan remaining 3 months. He scoffs bitterly. That's even shorter than a prepaid mobile plan. Determined not to give up, he returns to his acupuncture treatment. He theorizes that rotating the needle in a clockwise direction, while combining reinforcement and drainage breathing techniques, might enhance the effect. As he tries this method and removes the needle correctly, the system notifies him that his lifespan has been extended by exactly 1 day. Ecstatic at this breakthrough, he immediately repeats the process on his other arm, but this time, his excitement betrays him. He pushes too hard, drawing blood. A warning screen pops up. Warning: overuse of acupuncture detected. Limit sessions to once every 3 days. Inside his mindscape, his internal organs appear flopped on the floor, completely exhausted. From this, he learns an important lesson. While the acupuncture is effective, the body must be strong enough to withstand it. His current physical state is too fragile for constant treatment. Even with careful management, he estimates that he may only stretch his lifespan to 1 more month before his body gives out for good. With that sobering realization, he considers the next step: medicine. Determined, he turns to Garden, the royal physician of this world. He calmly asks for a stronger ingredient to aid his recovery. Garden hesitates. When our prince mentions wolf's bane root, Garden's expression twists with concern. He warns that such dangerous herbs can only be sourced from the main palace, not his personal quarters. Still, he agrees to try, but asks, "What do you need it for?" Deadpan, our protagonist, replies, "I'm going to eat it." Garden nearly drops the tray in horror. "Your Highness, please don't. That's toxic." Trying to reassure him, the prince explains that this is all part of his treatment plan. Garden remains skeptical. Sighing, the prince begins breaking it down for him. He asks if Garden already knows that Wolf's Bane is a poisonous plant. Garden nods. Of course, it's widely used in poisons. But the prince clarifies that he specifically needs the daughter root, which is much smaller and more potent. Garden stares at him, alarmed. "That could stop your heart entirely?" Unfazed, the prince admits, "That's true, but I know how to transform it into a usable tonic." Garden blinks in disbelief. "It's a process called detoxification," the prince continues. "I'll neutralize the poison and use it as medicine. Do you get it now?" Garden, with a helpless look, replies honestly, "Not even a little." Still, seeing how resolute the prince is, and suspecting that it might somehow work, Garden reluctantly agrees to help.